Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Cirque. And Cirque writes to speak about an afternoon spent observing clouds and interpreting the shapes that they take, as people sometimes do. And Cirque tells us that there was no difficulty in seeing many different symbols in the clouds, and some of the ones that are specified in the email include the letter N, and a number of symbols involving different kinds of apes. And there's more, but that's enough to give the idea. And the problem with this is that Cirque was not asking anything or having any context for these symbols. Cirque was merely looking at the clouds. And so Cirque's question is this: what does it mean when you receive symbols or messages, but you have no context for them because you have had no question or focus in mind when receiving them? And my answer to this is that it can mean as many different things as the different circumstances in which you're seeing them. So it could be many, many things. But first and foremost, I would think that when something like this occurs, most likely those symbols will reflect either what's going on inside you, emotionally or spiritually, or what's going on around you in terms of events, activities, or just plain energetics. So for example, seeing ape symbolism would first and foremost have to do with what apes mean to you, but let us say, for example, apes represent communication to you, which for some people they do depending on their background. That would indicate that there's a lot of communication going on either inside you or around you, and that you need to still your monkey mind, as they sometimes call it, in order to allow that communication to come through. And as well as symbolizing communications, because they frequently are in the act of communicating, apes also can represent the so-called monkey mind, which is constantly chattering, and therefore can cause you not to be able to clearly receive spiritual messages. So it could be saying that you need to meditate, you need to relax your mind, you need to open more to the messages of spirit. That would be one possibility, but it isn't necessarily what it is. You have to ask yourself that. And of course, in terms of interpreting the symbols, it's always what they mean to you that is most important, not necessarily what they would mean to me. But this, of course, is not the only thing it could mean, because sometimes there will be other things. Another thing that often happens to people if they're in a spiritual path is that a patron deity may announce itself in this way. If you start seeing symbols everywhere that relate to a particular deity, the deity is asking for you as a devotee. The deity is calling to you. This happened to me some years ago, actually many years ago, when I started seeing elephants everywhere. I was seeing elephant symbolism all over the place. I was receiving gifts of elephants. People were making elephant jokes. There were elephants in places elephants ought not to be. And I came to realize that perhaps I needed to be working with the god Ganesha. And Ganesha became one of my patrons and has been a patron ever since, and I'm very fond of and very reverent toward Ganesha. But this is something that can also be behind symbols that are coming to you without a context. It could be that it's the energy around you, in this case the patron deity calling to you. And so you might want to ask yourself, in this case, is there perhaps a simian deity such as Hanuman who might be calling to you? This is another possibility. What exactly would they mean? Well, again, only you can decide that, but these are the contexts in which I would think you could most likely place it. And of course, the other thing is it could have to do with your emotions about situations around you. And depending on your meaning for the symbol of an ape, it could represent conflict, it could represent communication, it could represent tension, it could represent development, because for different people, apes can have all of these different symbols. And as for the letter N, I would not know what that would mean, because I think it would have direct relevance to your life, and I would not really know the details, but I would look for things that might relate to one or another of these possibilities that would have the letter N. But of course, the most important thing to bear in mind is that you weren't looking for something specific. You were merely looking at clouds, and therefore it may be that whatever the message of these symbols was really isn't necessarily all that important, but rather represents, again, what was around you. So if you keep seeing simian imagery all around you, well then that's a message you need to listen to. If you only saw it on that one occasion, well, you know, it might be just as casual and relaxed as the activity of looking at the clouds. So that would be my take on the matter. I hope you find it helpful, and until next time, may you blessed be. Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from witchschool.com. Are you looking for the best in pagan and magical education? With more than 12,000 pages, witchschool.com is like having your own personal library with individual learning assistants to help you study. And Witchschool's Anyone, Anytime, Anywhere education system is available any place on Earth, anywhere you are and anytime you want it, as long as you have an internet connection. Witchschool's lifetime memberships are a great value. They really do last a lifetime. They've been there for years and they'll be there for years to come. So get your membership today at witchschool.com.